What was your first encounter with utter bullshit during your childhood? My mom finding a cigarette in the backyard, accusing me of having stolen a friend's mom's cigarettes to secretly smoke there, and grounding me for it despite me not having done any such thing. I was like 9 at that time. When I was in 3rd grade I got suspended for being beat up on the playground. They had a zero tolerance for violence policy. Also I never took a swing, just punished for being bullied. Same thing in 6th grade. That's how I understood that I might as well fight back. I hear you. I got in trouble, got suspended, and the same kid started another fight with me the day we came back. Boom. Suspended again. That genuinely helped me understand that life is not fair. We are not trying to make it fair, and you need to protect yourself at a really young age. When the same thing happened in junior high school I was more ready, and then you get suspended, and your parents beat you up. I was bullied a lot in elementary school. To be fair, I was a pretty easy target for the bullying. R/Rosem would have a meltdown not knowing where to start. So every day at lunch and recess I would get chased and harassed by 4 other boys. One day the teacher, written to keep order on the playground, grabbed me and told me to quit running. But of course, as soon as I did the 4 boys began pushing and taunting me. So I started running again. Next thing I know the teacher grabs me by the arm and starts to paddle me. Teachers could do that back then. She missed my ear and caught me in the back again. So I cuffed at her. She sent me to the principal's office. And when I told him what had happened he just shook his head. Then had me stand up to take 3 licks from his paddle. 5th grade is when I learned the world was utter bullet. The first time I was followed by a couple of guys in a car. I was 12. I ran to the nearest house for help. And I asked them if we should call the police. And they said no. Looking back, I think they were wrong. Who in their right mind would deny a 12-year-old calling the police? You were a smart child. A selfish person who doesn't want to be inconvenienced to help someone. When our teacher would yell at us if we asked to go to the bathroom at the beginning of class because we should have gone earlier, and then yell at us if we asked to go in the middle of class because we were interrupting, and then yell at us if we wanted to go at the end because we were trying to ditch since the class was almost over. My mom. You don't lie to others. Also my mom. / getting caught red-handed while telling a lie, and I had to call her out on it / any place where children under 11 eat free. Okay son, you're 10, got it. But mom, I'm 12. You're 10, goddammit. My mom would ask my opinion on things constantly. I would say it didn't matter to me, or whatever she thought was best, but she would force the issue until I finally answered. Then she would scream at me about how I didn't understand, or I was an idiot, or I never thought of her needs. I still panic a little when people ask for my opinion on something. Was asked to watch the rectory on Friday nights so the priests could have a night off. I was 12 years old. My job basically was to accept food that was brought by parishioners for the priests and find a place for it in their jammed-packed double-glassed or refrigerator that was as wide as 2 refrigerators. There were 4 priests at our tiny parish. I accepted fully cooked roasts, hams, casseroles and cakes. I was told not to eat anything. A few months later I was made to clean the convent with a couple of the nuns as a punishment for talking too much in class. There were 23 nuns who lived on site and tagged school. Their kitchen had a tiny refrigerator, and when it was lunchtime they opened a cupboard of expired canned goods. We had very old tomato soup for lunch with stale bread and milk made from powder. I asked them if they knew about the food over at the rectory, and they said no. Who threw that paper plane at the teacher? No one is confessing. Alright then. Everyone is punished. Apostrophe. Exactly the same happened in my school, but the school's staff interrogated all my class trying to find the culprit, managing to narrow down to 4 or 5 people. They all were suspended, formally apologized and made a presentation about respect. I was around 7 to 8. It was sports day in my school and I participated in Pass the Baton. I was enjoying myself and trying my hardest, but at the end of it my class teacher told my mum, in front of me, that I was too slow. Not sure why I took it to heart, but I just felt disappointed and it made me lose confidence in sports. In preschool, my mom gave me a book of math problems and said if I got them all done by the end of the day, I'd get a reward. I did the S out of those math problems. My reward was a hug. I felt like Patrick from the Valentine's episode of SpongeBob. Treachery. When I was in kindergarten we had that thing where you had a grid of boxes, and in each box was a word. You would have to cut out each box individually, then arrange the words in some order. After a few months of cutting out each box, like we had been shown, I figured that cutting out the rows and putting them on top of each other so the boxes lined up and cutting them out like that would take a lot less time. My teacher saw me do this. I had to stay in at recess to cut them out the right way. I had a similar thing in 1st or 2nd grade. We were making pop-up Mother's Day cards or something, where you had to trace hearts with a pencil on cardstock, cut it out, fold it, whatever, you get the gist. When I turned mine in, I was the 3rd or 4th kid in a row that put the hearts with the pencil marks facing forward instead of hiding them by turning them around. She lost it on me, telling me I was horrible at following instructions. Couldn't believe anyone was so oblivious not to see the stencil tracing was the wrong way, etc. Tossed the card right in the trash and gave me my first ever 0, and as a goody two-shoes who idolized my teachers, also my first ever anxiety attack. Fortunately, other incidents with this teacher taught me I got in less trouble for not doing homework at all, rather than getting it done and risk making mistakes. Set me up for success real good later on. Why are the people who teach children so often control freaks? Being told I could not use the restroom in class. I was not a cut up and really had to go. It was dehumanizing. I had this issue with teachers several times in my childhood. I eventually learned to just get up and leave without asking. Most of the time they didn't notice or didn't want to interrupt their lecture to protest. Any time that they had a problem with it, I simply threatened to pee on the floor right there in front of them. Usually got them to shut up, and then I'd leave. What a power move. Dad tax. I have done chores for you all week. I have received payment from you in the form of allowance for doing said chores. I have used that allowance to buy candy per your request, because if you want something you pay for it yourself. And now you come in the room yelling dad tax and steal half of it. That is some bullet. Not the first, but one that sticks out strongly in my mind. Me laying in a hospital bed after an overdose when I was 13. And my mother and father were standing on opposite sides of the bed screaming and yelling at each other over me. I recall making eye contact with a nurse for a notable length of time. Eating dog food because my mother used the child support for cigarettes. Back in elementary school I was somewhat misbehaved. And let me tell you, that annoying a bunch of power tripping elementary school administrators will get you a lot of bullet. I was sent to the principal's office for knocking over a comb during gym class. I was sent to the guidance counselor, basically used the same way as the principal's office, for tearing a piece of paper. Not me specific, but there were lists posted on the wall of the school dictating which recess games kids in each grade could play. Octopus tag, for example, might only be allowed in 2nd and 3rd grade. If you wanted to play a game that was not on the list, you were required to talk to the principal. How one would arrange such a meeting was never really clear. I was scolded for playing pretend Star Wars during recess because it encouraged violence. I was asked if I needed a chew toy to help me concentrate. I wasn't focusing on class walk because I found it too easy. I saved my money to buy a pair of X-ray specs from the back of a comic book. They didn't work for sheet. Realizing how people reproduce. Getting called out for throwing a snowball against a wall. Had to write down the whole school rules and there was not a single word about snow or throwing stuff. I remember eating snow on a window ledge. Getting scolded by the teacher who said that a dog could have peed there, since the window ledge was like 4 feet high and the snow wasn't yellow. I wondered how big of a dog it would have to be able to pee there. I remember that it struck me as bullet. Almost 20 years later. My mom informs everyone dinner is ready by yelling from the bottom of the stairs and expects me to hear her despite my room being on the other side of the house, my door being closed, and my TV being on. Also my mom Don't yell from the top of the stairs. You need to ask me in person or else I can't hear you. I'm not made of ears, you know. Apostrophe. I feel you. Exact same thing. If I have headphones on playing a video game, she'll yell at me from upstairs. My room's downstairs. And then if I think I heard something, I'd yell what or yes, not disrespectfully, just to check if somebody actually called my name, because again, I have headphones on and she would not respond. I would then resume what I was doing and get in trouble for doing so. Nowadays she will literally scream like she is dying, not even exaggerating. I would then come running because I would think that she is seriously hurt. Then it would turn out to be something like I need you to put your dishes in the dishwasher. So freaking frustrating. My mom gave birth to my half brother when I was about 3. I remember being home with her right after she came from the hospital when 3-year-old me asked mom, do we have to keep him? And that's when I realized life sure as s ain't all about you. At least I got that lesson real early. That's a pretty common reaction from children because they are used to be the only one getting the attention. So it's normal. My little sister pushed me down the stairs and I got in trouble for antagonizing her. She wouldn't do that for no reason. You did not know your daughter, mom and dad. To my knowledge it was for no reason, it was the morning. So I hadn't even gotten the chance to pee her off. Also, it wasn't the first time she had done it, just the first time my parents got involved. My cousins often stole money and broke things and didn't say anything so they wouldn't get in trouble. I remember one particular time my aunt kept asking me if I broke it. I don't even remember what it was. Some kind of piecing container, over and over, even though I always told the adults if I broke something or made a mistake, I still got blamed. And I think it's just because she just wanted it to be my fault for once instead of my cousin's. Edit. I remembered another one. So when I was little back in my home country, I used to save up dollars. Once in a while someone would give me a dollar bill and I'd stash it away. I had $6 saved over my 10 years, and when I was leaving with my stepdad to come to the US, my aunt decided that I had to give up those dollars because my cousin did some stupidness and they had to bail him out again, so they needed all the money they could get. She also pressured me to give up my gold earrings and a ring I had, presents I got a while back, because again, since I was going to the US I didn't need them. I was forced to give up even the little favorite toys I had when I left, but I stuck to it and kept my little ring and necklace, and got a lecture and shamed for it. We are not rich in the US. By the way, I work more often, so do my parents, and we all always have. My cousins just never saved anything and always did stupidness and still haven't changed. Only one is slightly better because he got lucky with a wife who's smart. Closed bracket. Definitely not the first, but it's an early one that I really remembered. Dad bought a fully U pallet of assorted M3, M4, M6 screws, nuts and washers directly from a factory, all unsorted because apparently that was marginally cheaper than buying it sorted in boxes like a normal person. Me and my brother were forced to sort all of it properly in Tupperware. I was like 4 to 5. That was freaking balls. Also, guess who did jack freaking s in helping sort it?